Hi friends, it's late December 2025 as we're winding down the year of 2025 according to the Western calendar. Today I had a conversation, again, it's only 5-6 minutes, with an Uber driver, and it was somewhat troubling, and now it's been like 6 hours later, and it's still bugging me, and I'm realizing why it's still bugging me, and so much so that something needs to be said. I want to, I don't know the right word, clarify something, help explain something. I just encountered, I got a boring background, I'm looking kind of scruffy and all that, but let me just say that while the moment is still good. Just encountered like an everyday evil. Here is one portrait of evil. Evil. And because we refuse, we in general, I'm speaking very generally according to Americans, not just the church, not just to Americans who claim to be Christians. I'm right now just speaking to Americans, period. We refuse to call evil evil. If we did call evil evil, we would feel the need to do something about it. We're reluctant. We as Americans are reluctant to do it. We're too goddamn passive in the face of evil. And here's a portrait of evil that I encountered. And he was, probably early 40s. He was a early 40s black American man. Looked good, dressed nice, clean car. Likable on the surface of things. I don't dislike the guy. But guess what? As I reflect on it now, I realize how evil. I was sitting next to evil. I didn't even realize how evil it was. Because it's likable. It's presentable. It's not unfriendly. By how we rationalize and refuse to call evil evil, it gives us, we can pretend we have an out for having to do something about it. Let me explain, and hopefully I'll remember to say all the little points that were brought in this few minutes. A whole lot of points were brought up. And let me show you how this guy responded and how this guy was. I don't care about this guy. I'm not here to dog on this guy. I'm not here to hate on this guy. This is not about hate. It's not about race. It is not about any of these things. This is about realizing what evil actually looks like. It's not the only form evil takes, absolutely not, but it is a form of evil, and to fail to call it evil, it took me a couple hours to realize this is actually evil. At first I was thinking, well, this is just stupid. He's just stupid. No, he's actually evil. Let me explain. At first I said, for some reason we're talking about money and cash, and I bring up topics just to get people talking and stuff like that. And I said something like, yeah, these days, even if you go into a bank and ask for $5,000, the bank doesn't even have $5,000 in cash to even give you. And he said, no, you're wrong. I used to be a bank teller, and the number is 10,000, not 5,000. I go, I'm sorry, I just made up the number 5,000 as an example. That's the number I made up. Maybe the number today is 5,000, but he goes, a few years ago, no, it was $10,000. And he said, I had this guy who would come in every week and deposit $10,000 or $11,000 in cash. And I go, yeah. And I'm thinking, well, he could have just been a business owner, an entrepreneur. He could have been like a handyman who got paid in cash, or he could have owned a laundromat where he gets a lot of his money in the cash and the quarters, and he could have owned a lot of laundromats. Sometimes they bring in just bags of money, bags of quarters, but it's a cash kind of business. That's what was going through my head when he said that. And he goes, this guy was actually a drug dealer, and he was laundering money through several different semi-legitimate businesses. Now, we didn't have a chance. This is a short conversation. We didn't talk about how did he know he's a drug dealer? How does he know that this is laundered money? I don't know how he knows that, but he claims with certainty yeah, this guy was actually a drug dealer. And so I advised him, look, dude, deposit $9,000 cash, because once you deposit $10,000 cash, it hits a certain threshold to where the government gets notified and they'll start looking into that. Now, I believe that the government is draconian and it's not their business to treat cash as if it's suspicious. Can bad things be done by people who are depositing and withdrawing large amounts of cash? Yes. But these days, the banks are scrutinizing you if you withdraw $100, $200, $300 worth of cash. It's freaking ridiculous. Now, so that at that time when which he worked at the bank, the number was $10,000. I think the number is less. And I pointed out, yeah, and if you deposit always the same exact number several times in a row, that also gets you flagged on some kind of list or something where your transactions at the bank are more scrutinized. Because I had heard that. Well, he corrected me and he said at least several years ago when he worked for a bank, he himself directly, the number was $10,000. All right. I'm thinking back on that now. You flat out knew this guy was a drug... Oh, so I go... I forget exactly what my words were, but like, you didn't do anything about it? You didn't say anything about it? No, it's not really my place. If the guy wants to do that, that's his business. Okay, pause. Let me reflect. Now this is several hours later, and I go, wait a second. What did I hear to come out of this guy's mouth? This guy knows that criminality is going on. This guy knows that, yeah, you're not a special investigator. I got it. You're not a detective. You're not a forensic accountant. Oh, it's not my job to do anything about it. You work for the bank and you know that your bank is now participating in money laundering, and you know who's doing it, and you come face to face with this guy every week, he said. Every week, $10,000 to $11,000. And not only are you not doing anything to get this guy who is a drug dealer in trouble, or have him be investigated or report him to anyone or anything, you're advising him how to get around the system. And the advice in this case was deposit $9,000, because then it won't flag you, because it starts flagging you at $10,000. How is this different than Mandami, the recently elected, and maybe there is a funny business going on in the election. I don't know enough to say that that was the case or not. I think just a lot of stupid New Yorkers are conned into wishful thinking and a bunch of fraudulent promises. But anyway, New York mayor recently, who on day 2 has defaulted on the vast majority of his promises. Of course he did. He's just a power monger. He's just after the status, the money, the power. And he's a Muslim, but he's not even so much a Muslim as he is a whore for power. He will say anything, do anything, promise anything, make any promise, break any promise, whatever his opportunity is at the moment, as, not just specifically him, as most politicians are. Anyway, Mandami was just advising people in New York, illegals in New York, and we talked a little bit about this in the conversation in the car with the driver, how to get around ICE. Well, if ICE comes to you and they don't have a proper warrant, then you don't have to respond to ICE or open the door or talk to ICE. And that is a flat-out freaking lie from Mandami. Mandami is trying to help illegal aliens. Again, these are all people who have entered illegally, so they have committed what? They've committed fraud, right? So they are guilty of a felony. These are all felons. Yes, there are different types of felonies. There are different degrees of felonies. Some forms of felony have worse consequences than other forms of felony within our legal system. But they are all felons. It is a felony. He is helping them to avoid ICE and to avoid deportation, because that's, at least he believes it to be, some of his power base. And he knows that by catering to them, he can at least appear to be on their side. He's really only on his own side. He only cares about himself. But he can appear to be on their side. He can appear to be their friend. He can appear to be their ally, their advocate. He is helping them avoid due process of law. He is helping felons evade justice. And he's lying to them. Yes, you don't have to open the door for police that come to your door asking to be let inside. if they don't have a warrant. If you are a citizen has these rights. An illegal alien does not have these rights. So he is lying to the people, saying, oh, you get all the rights that a citizen has. No, you don't. It's a goddamn lie. You're a goddamn liar, my dummy. May the Lord God judge you ever so severely for your lies, your scams, your fraud, your deception, and your opportunistic evil that oozes from every pore of your horrific being. That's how I feel, right? No, that's the truth. So, this guy is helping a drug dealer evade detection by systems that are meant to flag people engaged in suspicious activity. Now, I've got reservations about, is it the government's business how much cash we're depositing? In one sense, it's not. And should the amount of cash that gets flagged be flagged at $10,000 or $5,000 or $1,000 or only $100,000? I don't know. I really don't know. But, at some point, huge amounts of cash, it should be looked into a little bit. There's a possibility that maybe some serious money laundering is happening. Well, this was money laundering that was happening, and the bank teller knew it for a fact. I don't know how. We didn't talk about that part. Every single week at his bank, and he was helping the money laundering to continue. He was helping the drug dealer not to get investigated. That guy is on Team Evil. He is helping evil. And had I thought to say it in the moment, I should have said that famous quote that goes, all that's needed for evil to triumph is for good men to do nothing. And I didn't say that. But I did say something similar, and it goes, you know what? I'm just coming from the place where I believe that that if you don't take the weeds out of the garden, they will take over the garden. Now, I said that following this bit where we were talking about illegal immigrants and how, guess what, they are all felons by law. Well, I don't feel that way. I don't give a damn how you feel. By law, they are felons. Side note, right? We're doing a little rabbit trail right now. I just saw an interview 2 days ago where a woman was from Colombia, we did talk about this. I did bring up Colombia a little bit later in the conversation. She's come from Colombia, but she just became a United States citizen. And she was being asked, hey, so you're a citizen, you just became a citizen, congratulations, etc. If there's a war between the United States and Colombia, who would you side with? And she said, I'd side with Colombia. There's a big, big, big problem with that statement, right? She needs to be, her citizenship needs to be removed immediately. She needs to be deported immediately or jailed immediately. Why? She has committed fraud. In order to become, there's a squirrel walking right past me. Hey, squirrel. And there it is. You see it in the background. In order to become a United States citizen, you have to say a pledge of allegiance to America. But you just claim, no, my allegiance is to Colombia and not to America. If push comes to shove and I have to choose between the two, screw America, I will kill Americans in order to defend Colombians. Guess what? Now that you've become an American citizen and set a pledge of allegiance to the United States of America, it's illegal for you to do that. You don't get to do that anymore. Your allegiance is to America. You said an oath, and you said the Pledge of Allegiance. Both. So, well, she didn't feel there was any problem with that. Well, I can just be the way I feel like being. You don't get to tell me how I get to be. I gotta sneeze. No, lady, you're wrong. You're dead wrong. You are breaking the law. Well, it's like we're in the freaking subjective world, which was so well captured back in the 80s by Van Halen, where they goes with the teacher, where I think it's the Hot for Teacher song, where the guy at the beginning of the song, Eddie Van Halen, probably says, "Oh, I don't feel tardy," And so he's, the rebellious teenager thing, So he's tardy, but I don't feel tardy, so I'm not tardy because I don't feel tardy. Like, your feelings are reality, right? No, they're not reality. Not at all. Reality is reality. Your feelings need to line up with reality. And if not, then you need to change and you need to set aside your feelings in favor of reality. So she didn't feel it was wrong to have her allegiance to Colombia, even though she just became a citizen of the United States and took a pledge and took an oath. Otherwise, none of that means anything. Only thing that means is what's opportunistically good, advantageous for her in the moment by moment by moment. So the evil in her is not much different than the evil in Mandami, who will just say anything, do anything, change his mind, break his promise in the moment. And I started to say most Americans are that way. Let me back off from that statement. I sort of think that, but let's just say a lot of Americans are that way. I don't know, honestly, technically, if it's more than 50%, so I'm pretty sure it's more than 50%, but, I can't prove to you it's more than 50% of Americans that just will break their word. Their word means nothing. Their marriage oaths mean nothing. They're committing adultery there, so why not, their value of human life doesn't mean anything. They will just abort their own children on the altar of convenience. Things like that, right? So nothing means anything except what's convenient for me moment by moment, what's advantageous for me moment by moment, very short-term sighted. Well, guess what? Hell is filled with these people. It's a very serious matter. God is a God of integrity and faithfulness, and his yes means yes, and his no means no. God stands beside his word no matter what. Come what may, hell or high water, however you want to say it. God stands 1,000% behind his word. He does not flip-flop. He does not say one thing and then do another. He is faithful and true. Unlike the people of Babylon, unlike many of the people in America and in the world, and unlike people in hell who just did what felt convenient for the moment. So this guy was a guy, this Uber driver, back to the Uber driver, he was a guy who he just went along to get along. There was evil right in front of him, literally standing on the other side of the counter of him, and what did he do? Nothing? No, less than nothing, he helped evil get away with the money laundering that he knew was taking place. He didn't report them to be investigated. Is it his job to be Rambo and leap over the counter and tackle the guy and handcuff him? No. Should he have done that? There's a small case to be made that maybe he should have done that. There's a literal criminal who's hurting the business that you work for. How can you say you're a legitimate employee of this business, this bank, when there's somebody who is conducting crime at your bank and you do nothing? In fact, you're helping them. You're helping them squeak through, evade the system. This is evil. So we were talking then, shifted to illegals, and what he said was that, he just feels that everybody's good. And so, you shouldn't really go after anybody. You shouldn't punish anyone for their crimes. You shouldn't, and I'm not going to get the exact words exactly right. But I thought to say it. I didn't actually say it out loud. Like, well, so if somebody is hurting your own kids, you're not going to do anything there either? Something like that. So I pointed out some facts to him. I go, well, we know that, they're felons. Well, I don't feel that they're felons. Really, I just feel that they come here for a better life. Well, some of them do, but if you come here for a better life, breaking our laws, disrespecting our entire system of laws and rulership, you're not a friend of America. So you don't just to get here and because you want to take advantage of all the benefits of America you want the benefits without any of the responsibility. You're not here to contribute. You're not here to build. You're here to take. Well, that's the mindset of a parasite. You're a parasite. Of course you want to take. There's good stuff here for taking, and of course, systems have allowed people to get in on the taking. We're just now in the news. These are headlines in this week. They are constantly changing, but all of these Somalis have ripped off the American taxpayer for billions and billions and billions. They've worked the system. They've worked the system, which was meant to be compassionate towards the citizen, to help the citizen who's fallen on hard times, whether physical disability or whatever. They have milked the system every way their system is able to be milked. And we've got a lot of fake leaders in government who have helped illegals and Somalis milk the system. And trillions, I don't have the exact number, multi-trillions, at least 3 trillion of our dollars have been just hoarded away to people who are here to take and contribute nothing. Nothing. I used to know a lady, she's now dead, but her son was shot by one of these Somali, he wasn't killed, but he was shot by one of these Somali invaders. Am I specifically hating on Somalis? I'm against injustice. I am against fraud. I'm against everything that is untrue. That is a taker, not a giver. That wants to get the benefits of being an American citizen, but not be an American citizen, not contribute to American, not play by any of our rules, and just take. There are so many people that are claiming to be on disability, claiming to be on that. Every situation where we have compassion, where we give extra money, they filed for everything like that out the wazoo. And there's been no accountability. Up to now, Trump is pointing it out, and now some accountability is coming because some attention was thrown on that. We've been massively hemorrhaging money for years and years and years, and nobody has called attention to it. So, again, America's under judgment. One of the many ways is that our money is being drained from us by 1,000 cuts. And this cut by that the Somali illegal immigrants have been particularly rabid, voracious, pick your word, to commit these specific kind of crimes. Just sucking down every social service, every privilege, every benefit, all the money they can for food, lifestyle, while contributing nothing. And the basis on which they claim to be entitled to that money is utterly fraudulent. A, they're not citizens, but B, they're not even disabled. Things like that. So this Uber driver would look an evil drug dealer in the face. He even freaking stood up for the drug dealer. Well, maybe the drug dealer has good reasons for being a drug dealer. Who knows? Maybe he fell on hard times. Maybe he's got bills to pay, and that's why he needs to be a drug dealer, right? He's going out of his way to justify and stand up for the guy that he knows for a fact is committing evil. Really? What about all the people his drugs are hurting? Oh, I just choose not to look at that. Really? Seriously, dude? He consistently saw things through the particular lens that allowed him to justify to himself doing nothing about it. My point is, that's actually evil. And I didn't even realize I was talking to an evil person until reflecting on it hours later. Same day, hours later. Other things, he was standing up for illegal immigrants. And I go, well, the FBI statistics say that the average illegal immigrant commits 14 felonies. That's average. That means half of them commit more than 14 felonies. Well, that's just FBI statistics. That doesn't mean anything. Really? And he goes, look, yeah, the situation in Mexico, it's hard, man. That's hard. They've got crime there. They've got drugs there. It's dangerous over there. Of course they want to come here where it's more safe. You can't blame them for that. I go, why don't they stay there and make Mexico great again? No, 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 no. They just need to come here, and we shouldn't stop them from entering illegal here because they've got good reasons for wanting to come. Yeah, they do. They want to get in all our stuff, all the opportunity, the jobs, the social services, and all of this stuff, like parasites. Now, again, I'm making sweeping broad generalizations, and we both admitted this in the conversation. Look, it doesn't necessarily apply to every single person. Well, I know many people who are here, and they're here to work, and they're here to live right. And you know what? There are a lot of those people, but there are a lot of people that are parasites as well. They're sucking down trillions. It's not a joke. It's not a lie. It's not exaggeration. It's not just being dramatic and sensational. Our money is stripped from us. Meanwhile, they want to charge you all of this. They nickel and dime the American taxpayer for freaking death. We're paying higher anyway. You live here. You're paying higher electricity bills, higher utilities. You're getting taxed for more and more things. Life is more unworkable. It's more unbearable. Meanwhile, they're getting benefits out the wazoo. It's unjust. And I think everybody knows that it's unjust if you have more than 2 brain cells, which some people don't. So it's getting much harder and harder to ignore, right? As it becomes more obvious, more extreme, and the usurpation and the what's the right word I want to use? And the grievances just become more in our faces. So this was a guy who didn't want to report a drug dealer, who wanted to help the drug dealer launder money through his bank as an employee of that bank. It's not my job to report him. What do you mean it's not your job to report him? Where the fuck did you get that rationalization from? Evil is in your face. Every single thing he said was to excuse himself from doing anything about any of the evils confronting our society. Now, he didn't claim to be a Christian. He didn't claim to be a man of God. He didn't claim to be a champion for justice. So I can't call him a hypocrite. But he thought, he rationalized in his own mind. Again, this is I say it's the normalized level of deception running rampant in America, where he could call himself a good person, and when in reality he's an enabler of evil. He is an enabler. He is complicit. Yeah, you did not run into, I'm making it up an example, this is an analogy, he did not run into the bank itself, point guns at people and steal bags of money out of their hands, but you drove the getaway car, so you helped the evil. You provided the house for them to run away to and hide from the police, right? You're an enabler of evil. That is also a crime. You don't get to rationalize, well, I didn't point any guns at people, so I'm not a criminal. No, you're a criminal. You helped this larger crime operation take place. He helped a larger drug operation take place. He helped the money laundering operation take place by not just doing nothing about it, which is a crime, I'm sure it's against his terms of employment, but it's also, again, I haven't read his terms of employment. I can't point out the exact line of policy he broke. I can't. You told him how to evade detection by the systems meant to catch evil people engaged in evil actions. The level at which he just rationalized it all away. Yeah, no, I'm a good person. We should just be, we should just assume the best about people. Really? I just assumed the drug dealer he had good reasons. He had good reasons for doing what he was doing. So everything was just a rationalization after rationalization after rationalization after rationalization. This is what evil looks like. This is what evil does. Evil continually rationalizes its own evil. It has to, right? It wants to avoid the truth. It wants to avoid accountability. Evil is at war with reality. Evil must lie, continually lie to itself and to others. And it got worse from there Trying to remember what. Dang, I knew it a second ago. I just saw this trend. He so sincerely believed that he's not doing anything wrong. Yeah. So they commit an average of 14 felonies. Well, that's just FBI statistics. We don't know that. I go, what do you mean we don't know that? I mean, there are some things that we know, my friend. You can't just pretend, well, I just want to dismiss that. We know some things. For example, my friend, we know that, the worst area of crime in America is black on black crime. Well, we don't know that. That's not necessarily the case. Yes, it is the case. That was inconvenient for him to acknowledge as a black American, so he just dismissed the whole thing. And I go, we also know that domestic abuse, where people physically hurt each other, the kind of relationships in which people physically hurt each other, threaten and physically damage each other, kill, wound, stab, shoot, or just punch in the face each other, are lesbian relationships, that they're 44% higher. Well, you don't know that. They're just saying, how do we know that for sure? He just wants to dismiss everything that's not convenient for him to acknowledge. That's textbook evil, my friend. You know you're dealing with a person who's susceptible to evil or actively evil if they just dismiss anything that might move them out of their comfort zone back into reality. And then there was something after that. Oh, he was saying, yeah, it's so hard in Mexico. These people have good reason to come here and invade us because the cartel's there. And they just need to, I mean, come on. If you had kids there, you'd want to get away from the cartels too. Where's your compassion? And I go, well, listen, everything you say sounds good, except let's look at Colombia. Colombia had cartels. Colombia had a massive corruption. Colombia had a massive drug problem, except the Colombians put their foot down and started eliminating the cartels. They took hard and serious action against evil to eliminate the cartels, to punish Hartley cartels, to shut the cartels down. Am I saying it's 100% shut down? No. Well, how do we, yeah. There's multiple documentaries on that. Well, a documentary doesn't mean anything. A documentary can just say, listen, you can find a documentary that'll just say whatever it is you want to believe. What? So any evidence that doesn't, you just dismiss it. It's like Jews who go, well, any facts that I don't want to acknowledge, well, that's anti-Semitic. Yeah, this potato chip, it's anti-Semitic. The FBI statistics don't mean anything. Oh, what happens in Colombia doesn't mean anything. Oh, it doesn't happen to apply to the Mexico situation. Besides all these parallels, yeah, it freaking does. So this guy is at war with reality. He is in rabid denial of reality. And anytime I attempted to bring little pieces of reality and put them on his plate for him to chew and digest, he spit them out. He just dismissed them. He just shoved them off his table so he doesn't have to deal with that. How dare you disrupt my quaint, convenient system that lets me believe that I'm good and that I don't have to confront evil, that I can be good without confronting evil. This is the fundamental problem. This problem is rampant in America. This is why I'm worked up enough to talk about it. All that's required for evil to triumph is for good men to do nothing. This man was not only doing nothing against evils that he saw in his face every week, he was helping the evil to flourish. I sat in the car for him only for 6 minutes. Was he an unpleasant person? No, but every fact of how there's evil in your face. Oh, no, there isn't. well, Colombia might be able to put down their drugs, but Mexico certainly can't. Yeah, they could have done if they wanted to, if Mexico really wanted to enough, they could put down the drug situation. And we didn't get into the problem. There's a problem I see with that is that, how the cartels are, they threaten you. You either run these drugs for us or we kill grandma, right? And so when people are confronted with that extreme level of pressure, it's really hard to stand up. I'm not saying it's impossible. I'm not saying they're justified in not standing up against evil. They're not. They should stand up against evil, but it's really hard. And I can understand more why a person wouldn't stand up for evil again. If you don't run these drugs, we kill grandma, right? And so then they capitulate and they run the drugs, even though their ambition in life was not to become a drug dealer. They get drug into it, and there's extreme life and death pressure and threats put on them to be a participant in the cartel system. That very much goes on in Mexico. That's going on in Colombia too. That goes on inside the USA as well. Colombia really put their feet down and started taking decisive action against it. Unlike Mexico, which is why there's protests going on in Mexico, because the president is basically just another drug dealer. And it's so freaking obvious that they can't pretend she's not a drug dealer. She's just another cartel member. He's just a cartel member in a pantsuit. It's become so obvious that the people of Mexico, even they are protesting it. So there are systems of evil, and they grow to a point and they become endemic, and they do put massive, horrific pressure on people to comply to their evil. And once that happens, it's much harder to stand against that level of pressure. But it wasn't hard for that guy to just, point out, hey, Mr. Bank Manager, I don't want to get on this guy's radar, and I don't want to have him come after me, but this guy's a drug dealer and he's laundering money through our bank, and this does need to be looked into. So report that to whatever the right wording is, internal affairs, security, fraud department and division within the bank, whatever the right word for that is. That was so freaking easy for this guy to do, and he refused. He actively refused, and he is actively evil because of it. And he's going to suffer horrible, negative consequences. Because when the time came again and again and again and again and again in his life for him to do the right thing, he fucking refused. He chose passivity. Now, I'm talking about him, and he's just an example. Please search your own lives. Are there areas that you are doing this? Are you being passive to evil? Please don't do that. That has horrible, eternal consequences. I beg you not to do that. I beg you not to engage in compromise. I beg you not to engage in passivity towards evil. I beg you not to. Every time you do that, you're selling your soul more and more and more. It will not end well for you this way. You will have bitter, screaming, horrific regret against the justice and the judgment of the Most High God. You can't fool him. Your rationalizations and your excuses of, let me just dismiss these statistics because I don't like them. You can tell me that, but you can't tell God that. So today I met an actively evil human being posing as a normal, just average human being out in society. I'm not saying it to hate on him. I'm saying it to help you guys, to help us all as a society recognize there's a lot of evil that we're putting up with. Now, there's a very wise man of God whose name is Zeph Daniels, and he's about 15 years older than me. And I've learned so much from listening to his podcasts, and I give him full credit for that. And he grew up in a situation in Los Angeles in which his I think it's his grandfather, was high up in some kind of mafia situation in Los Angeles. And it was a little bit vague as exactly what he was up to and exactly what he's doing. But there was lots of parties where lots of little boys were running around naked and getting raped on a regular basis, including Zeph, including his brother, who committed suicide as a result of it. And so it was, and again, this is like the 50s, I think. If memory serves, this is the 1950s. And there's plenty of elite parties going on. There's plenty of child rape going on. This is baked in, and it's just only become more normalized and more spread to more and more of the average person. But because Zeph was brought up in this very dark, organized crime environment, he could recognize these evils, and he did stand against it, and he's paid a high price for it. God has preserved his life now. He's old, and his health is not great at this point in his life. But he did not sell his soul. He did not compromise. And his life was hard, but God has provided. But he is the one who gets rewarded. And the person who compromised. So my point was, he has a phrase for it, right? Which is not uniquely his. But he's the one who made that phrase really stand out to me. You go along to get along. That's not unique to him, like I just said. People who go along to get along end up in hell. Don't do it. Don't do it. Don't just go along. Oh, Franklin, come on now. Just be a team player. Don't you want to be a team player? Which is code for just go along to get along. Now, the Masons, Freemasons, Scottish Rite, all of the different flavors of Masonry, they're secret societies. They're just Luciferian with a nice little wrapping paper on top. They're all about that. They're all about making the inside deal. They're all about the corruption. They're all about going along to get along. You just play the game, dude. Don't rat out your fellow Mason. Let them get away with the crimes because you're brothers together, because you've both degraded yourselves in horrific rituals where you made oaths to fallen angels. But let's not call it what it is. Let's just call it, we just seek the light, no matter what form the light takes. We see light in Islam. We see light in Buddhism. We see light in Jehovah's Witnesses. We see light in Mormonism. It doesn't matter the religion. It's all about the light. And so they can pretend, and somehow through that bullshit language, that they're somehow about anything good when they're just opportunistically seeking to feather their nests in this lifetime. You fools! You damn fools! You are selling your soul. God does not see any of his love in you, in your life, in your behavior. Anyway, I ran into an evil person, and they were pleasant to be around, but every time truth came along, they would dismiss it, and I realized, holy shit. This is what evil looks like, and it's so like walking around among us, being an Uber driver, being whatever it is, just conveniently rationalizing it. I had several other times, one of which I've only talked about to my friends. I've never talked about in any kind of video, where I was eating dinner across the table from a woman who just casually mentioned that she hired an assassin to kill her brother's baby because her brother accidentally got a woman pregnant. And of course that's an inconvenient pregnancy. In order to help her brother, I'm a good person, I'm just trying to help my brother, she hired an assassin to have that baby killed. I was freaking horrified. It's so casual. Oh yeah, of course I did it. I mean, I'm a good person. Not only did I do it, I'm a good person for doing it. Why am I a good person? She rationalized because I was just helping my brother out of his predicament. I'm being a good sister. I helped my brother out of his predicament. So I hired that baby to be murdered so that he wouldn't have to deal with it. That makes me a good sister. I'm a good person. I've never said this before on video. I've only said this in private conversation. There it is. That's fucking evil in America, left and right. I had another, anyway. I had another, this is several years back, a lady I was riding with, and I made a blog post about it, that today I was in a car with a Satanist. I ran into a Satanist. That she completely remembered, if you get between me and my ambitions, I'll kill you in a heartbeat. My lifestyle is what's important, and if you're interfering with my lifestyle, I'll fucking kill you. I won't even blink. Again, that's a more honest take on being evil, but it's not a repentant take on being evil. This is all around us in America. This is why America is being judged. America's not zealous to do good. Again, a guy I listened to on YouTube, he just said today, a real leader will make his own life harder in order to make your life easier. Wow. He summed it up, didn't he? A real leader will do that, right? He's there to serve, not to be. Jesus said, I have come to serve, not to be served. He was the person who truly, fully, most deserved to be served. I say it again, to be served. And yet he humbled himself to the Father's will for his life and became as a servant. He washed the disciples' feet. He washed Judas's feet, etc., etc. So just take all this stuff. Evil will dismiss the truth. Evil will deny the truth. Evil will not deal with the truth. It will not deal with the facts of the matter. Any lie that comes along that helps it rationalize itself, it'll gulp that lie down. It'll embrace that lie. It'll hold on to that lie. It'll selectively choose that lie because this has reached such a, I think it's reached a tipping point. I'm not God, so I can't definitively say that. I know that America is about to be severely judged. I don't know when, and I don't know how. It's not my business, it's God's business. But to say that is to not, that's God's business to judge evil, so I don't have to. No, that's not what the Bible teaches at all. You stand for righteousness. Esther had to stand for righteousness if it cost her life. So many examples in the Bible. We don't want to do that. Why? It's hard. It's scary. It's threatening. Well, if you can't do that in small, easy ways, like when the guy across from the desk from you in the bank, you just point to there's systems in the bank meant to stop this shit from happening. You won't even alert them. Then you get the higher levels of evil, like the cartels in Mexico, where you haul the drugs for us, we fucking kill your whole family. You got that? And now you're under horrific pressure to engage in evil. Why? Because you didn't stop it in the bud. You didn't nip it in the bud. Now, unfortunately, America's way past the point of nipping it in the bud. But it could get worse. And it's headed, and it's about to get worse. Whatever America does or doesn't do, you, my friend, one human being to another, I call myself a Christian. That means I'm supposed to follow Jesus. That means I put my full trust in Him alone and His goodness and His grace and His work at the cross, the death, the resurrection, and all of that to be my salvation, not my good works, not my nice intentions, not my pretty words, not my rationalizations. In the person of Jesus, in the work of Jesus, in the righteousness of Jesus, that Jesus was the Messiah, the Lamb of God, sent from Father God to be the goodness, the morality, the pure love back to the Father, the pure obedience back to the Father that I could never even hope to be. I can't even begin to measure up, not even close. Oh, that's all that means. A Christian means that I admit the truth of who Jesus is and who I am, that I am in need of salvation and that He is salvation. He has salvation, but He is salvation. I need Jesus. Jesus Himself said, unless you eat my flesh, eat my flesh and drink my blood, you have no part of me. Meaning, not cannibalism or anything weird like that. Meaning, you've got to get me inside of you. I am the spiritual life sustaining force. that if I'm not in you, God does not recognize you as being alive, and so you go where all dead things go, to hell. Anyway, please take all these things into account so that I don't just start rambling and repeating myself. This playing fast and loose with evil, this how quick Americans are to just rationalize things. And we treat it as a small thing. My point is, it's not a small thing. It's going to get America nuked. It's about to get America nuked. My understanding is that we're going to have 10 different nukes going off in 10 different cities. And that's not even the half of it. There's going to be invasion and horrific starvation and loss of life and blah, 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 blah. There's so much tribulation. But it's bad around the entire world. But it's bad in America because America, looked the other way. We should have said something. We should have spoken up. We should have done something. And listen, it's at the point at which it's at, right? Maybe it's the last hour. I tend to think it's the last hour. There ain't much more time left. You better do the right thing now. Why? Because I'm saying so? Because I'm threatening you? No, I'm no threat to you. I'm no power to judge you, but there is a judge. The Most High God is a holy judge. Let the fear of God come to you in the right way. So you take doing good seriously. You take standing against evil seriously. If you fail to do this, you will regret it so severely. You will say, Marcus, you underestimated. You should have warned me harder. You should have screamed at me more. You will say that with hindsight. Don't be that person. Take wisdom now. You go, well, okay, you're kind of lecturing me. I'm tired of that at the point. I don't want to hear it. All I'm saying is America at this point has looked the other way so much. And we're, now there's a conversation about human trafficking that there wasn't, 15 years ago, let's say. It was plenty going on. It's just there was no conversation or sexual assault or all these other things, human trafficking or Ghislaine Maxwell or Epstein Islands or whatever that has called attentions to a Weinstein casting couch, things that have been going on for so long. There's some attention called back to it, where we scratch the surface and maybe starting to somewhat, tiny bit address some of that evil. We've done so little, and we've done it so late. Oh, is this a doom message? Oh, you're just dooming me? Well, we're all screwed now. I don't mean to say that. I'm saying take whatever time you've got left. We don't know how much time we have left. You and individually, we all die at some point. You must live well. That means live for truth, live for justice when it's inconvenient, when it hurts. A real leader is willing to make his life harder so that other people's lives are easier. You may not be a mayor of a city. Maybe you're a leader of a family, though. In whatever capacity you have it within you, whatever thing you have authority over to do good, I beg of you, do good. Be pleasing to your Father God. Let Father God's heart be reflected in your own heart. If those words are not making sense to you, if that does not compute, I don't know what you're talking about. Say, God, what is he talking about? Please clarify this to me. Please make this real to me. Please show me what this is all about. Please show me what your heart is and what my heart is, so that I can see my heart in light of your heart. Please orient me to truth that I've been ignorant about, truth that I've been in active denial about, truth that I've been rationalizing away because it wasn't convenient. Show me where I have looked the other way. Show me where I have just went along to get along. Show me where I've just be a team player, except the team is engaged in evil activity. Help me stand for righteousness so that I will not be ashamed, so that you will not be ashamed of me on Judgment Day and go, I gave you so much. I put you in America. I gave you so much and you couldn't even stand for goodness. Please, for your sake. It's as if God is making his appeal through me in a small I'm just a dude. Do it for your own sake. May God bless you. May God get the truth through to you. I can implore you up one side and down the other all day long. You know, and maybe that even sounds tedious. It might. Please, pray to God and go, you know what? Where do I need to make a change? Where's my heart lining up? Not up to your heart. Where have I been looking the other way, where there's evil that you've shown it to me? It's there to be seen, but I've been closing my eyes to not see it. Right? And what's that famous thing, you know, hear no evil, see no evil, speak no evil, all that kind of stuff, right? Willful blindness to evil doesn't end well. That just lets evil take over, which lets judgment come, which ends in horrific regret. Choose wisdom, choose life, choose righteousness. It will not be easy. You will not be popular. People will not agree with you. The people who are just normalizing, playing nice with evil, they're going to regret it horrifically one day. Don't be among them, right? The Psalms talk a lot about that. Don't sit in the seat of scoffers. Don't, play ball with the wicked when they want to run after innocent blood, and on and on and on and on. Some of you know the right things to do. Some of you have become so normalized to just looking the other way, and you're compliant. You're compliant with evil. God, where have I been compliant with evil? Wake me up to it. Don't let me be comfortable with something that I'm going to regret on Judgment Day. That's it in a nutshell. Thank you for being patient with me as I try to express it out here. May God bless you richly with more of himself alive in you and through you.